I don't practice self-care because of 3 reasons. Self-care often focuses on escaping our responsibilities, and it often focuses on temporary fixes. And self-care, it's all about self. It's about me, myself, and I when we are called to pour into other people. If we haven't met before, my name is Anne-Marie, and I was a former banker turned homemaker. And I am here because I so want to empower all of us to find so much joy in our daily home lives so we can fully embrace God's calling. The self-care trend is all about spa days and beauty days and treat yourself because we deserve it. And it's wrapped around the idea of overindulgence, that if we are not spending money, then we're not rested, then we're not recharged, then we're not feeling relaxed, which is completely crazy to me because I think that our culture has taken it so far that we're now commercializing self-care. And I understand the importance of self-care. Like, to me, self-care is really resetting and taking care of myself so I can pour into other people. And it's a little similar to mental health. And mental health, it's very important, just like physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health. But I don't go around saying, I take care of my physical health. No, I take care of me. I take care of my health. and I feel like it's now becoming this like trendy word, like mental health. I am taking care of my self-care. So then I'm taking care of my mental health. And again, I understand there's a time and place for that, but the trend of that has become a little too far. What do I do instead? For me, there needed to be a shift in perspective, and self-care was not about self, but it was about other people. And I know, again, it's completely backwards because self-care, it's, the word says self. But I do self-care, like I reset myself and recharge myself, not because I deserve it, but because I so want to pour into Micah and our girls and our community. That's why I reset myself so then I can give to other people. There is a difference between recharging ourselves to check out versus recharging ourselves so then we can pour into other people. I take care of my holistic health. Like, I take care of my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, my mental health, like all of that. And so what does that mean? I do love massages. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't go for spa days like with the cute massages that is relaxing. I like to have a massive deep tissue or sports massage that is painful because I know my body is then healing. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of the self-care thing that we could be doing instead of focusing on like spending money and all of these things, it's, for me, what I like to do is I can be eating animal-based versus processed food. So those are little choices that I can be making. I can be going to bed early instead of choosing to, I don't know, scroll or do something else, or like watch Netflix or something. I don't have Netflix, but watch a YouTube video. I do that. And I could be reading the Bible instead of doing all these things. I can choose to go for a walk instead of eating a donut. I don't even like donuts. I don't know why I'm saying all these things that I don't have or don't like. But eating like candy or chocolate or whatever. But you know what I mean. And so it's all of these things that those daily decisions, that little small decisions that seem so unimportant, but take care of ourselves, that we get to recharge by doing that. Take care of our health holistically. And that brings me to the next point: setting strong and healthy boundaries and not being scared of what people think about us. I know that it can be easy to set strong, healthy boundaries and not really being sure and kind of being flexible because we're afraid of what people think, or we're not wanting them to think that we're unkind or mean and not Christ-like, or all of these thoughts that go through our heads. I understand that. I am not a people pleaser, so I really don't care what other people think about me, because to me, my approval comes first from God, and then from Micah, and then from our girls. So the other people, like, yeah, I could, like, I'm not rude or anything. I just, to me, it's what's important to me is God, Micah, and the girls. And so that's the main thing. I need to protect everything else because they are so important to me. And so what other people say, it doesn't really matter. But I know that it can be, setting boundaries, it's something that a lot of us are working towards and to follow through on that. So I can understand that it can be a little challenging. And for me, I go like, okay, so I need to protect all of us in order to be able to pour into other people. And when I understand that and I shift my mindset around that, then I'm able to follow through on the boundaries that I've set. And so some of the things, for example, for us is we set boundaries with the people around us. So I am very protective of who is around us and who is pouring into us, because anybody has influence on us. Anybody, if we spend time enough with people, they will have influence on us, whether we want it or not. And to me, that is completely crazy, because it shows me how much more important it is to protect the people around us, because we will become like them. The 5 people that are closest to us, we will become like them. So we better choose wisely. And the second thing is social media and news. Like, those things are completely, we allow our minds, when I scroll through social media, and I don't do that often because I don't have social media anymore, but I do reactivate my Facebook sometimes, because I think there's so much value in the homeschooling communities that I get to receive from. And so social media, like scrolling and comparing and all these things, and then the news, every time I read the news, there's not one time that I stop reading the news. I'm like, wow, I still believe in humanity and the world is awesome. If anything, I'm just like, people are messed up. And I don't want to have to think that way. I don't want to be skeptical. I don't want to be just negative about people. And so I needed to protect my mind for that, because if I wrap my mind around those things and allow social media and the news to speak into me, because we're just scrolling, right? And so we're not protecting anything. And bad news sells, like negative news sells. So your headline about like this bad event that happened was gonna catch my attention, and I'm gonna want to read it, even though I know that it's bad. If I don't cut those things out of my life, I feel like it's an open door to go in my head and to just like make me negative, essentially. And the other thing that Mike and I like to protect is our calendar. So I used to, because I have a fear of missing out. And so I do not like to say no to things. I would like to say yes to everything, because I want to be around people. I want to be, just pouring into the community. And I totally understand, that some of us are introverted, and I am introverted. People don't believe me, but I am an outgoing introvert. I stole that from my father-in-law because Micah's dad is absolutely awesome, and he's like me, where we are both introverted, but we like to be around people. Introverted means that the way we recharge. And so introvert means that we recharge by being by ourselves. Extroverted, they recharge being around people. I do not recharge by being around people. Mike and I need to protect our calendar. What I used to do is I would say yes to everything and then add that to a calendar. And both Mike and I share a calendar, and I'm in charge of the calendar. And so, and then Mike and I would be talking, and I'm excited about this event that I just added. And then he's like, oh, that sounds awesome. And I just want to bring to your attention that we have all of these other things multiple times a day that we're going to be out. And so I know that you don't really like to be around people. And so, just some food for thought. And that happened for years and years and years, until I finally realized that having multiple activities during the day does not recharge me. And when I'm not recharged and I'm not able to pour into other people, then I become this mean person and very snippy and very just not kind. Now, what I do is when somebody invites us to an event, I will go, that sounds awesome. Let me check our calendar, and then I'll check with Micah and then get back to you on that. And I obviously have a calendar right here in my phone, and I could check right away. And because both of our calendars are shared, that I have access to Micah's calendar, and Micah doesn't care about what I add in his calendar. He's like, you're in charge. And so I can make the decision and decide all of that. But I want to hear about what Micah says because he is very wise. And so I want to make sure that I'm not adding more things in our calendar just because I don't want to miss out. And so another thing that I've started doing is that if an event or something is not giving me the emotion of like, heck yes, I want to be there, then we're not adding to calendar. If it's something like, oh yeah, that'd be nice, or well, yeah, if we have nothing better to do, like if any of those emotions happen or thoughts, then it's no, we are not adding to our calendar. Anything that we do will have to be a heck yes. Any person that we get around would have to be a heck yes. And then that way it fills our calendar with joy in our time really, with joy and purpose. And that's the same thing about people. We all have people in our life who are a little bit more negative, or would be talking about things or saying things that will make us feel that we want to compare, or that we want to judge, or all of these negative emotions or behaviors. When that happens, we like to limit our time with them, because if I don't walk away from somebody, or my time with somebody, feeling uplifted, encouraged, or at least liked, and just being like, oh, that was such a great time, then it's not worth it. And then on our way back home, we'll be talking about all these things that are negative and just not uplifting. And what's the point in that? And that brings me to the next point: protecting our Sabbath. And I used to believe that Sabbath was for back in the days, or just not applicable anymore, or I don't even know. Like, I've read the 10 Commandments multiple times, and I know that it says keeping Sabbath holy. And I don't know what I was thinking. But I've never done Sabbath until I read this book. I think it was called Emotional Healthy Leader or something, by Peter or something. It was just an awesome book that he drills about Sabbath, and he explains the whole concept about Sabbath and how it's so important, and that we are called to keep Sabbath holy. And the more I looked into it, the more I went, okay, we need to do this. And I just felt convicted that we needed to do this. And the first thing we did is we chose a time. And so for us, back in the days, it used to be Friday evening to Saturday evening. And then I started doing YouTube, and then I started recording on Saturday morning. I no longer record on Saturday morning, but we still kept our new schedule, which is Saturday night to Sunday night. And so, and that was the first thing that we did. And then the second thing, Micah doesn't do this. He still uses his phone on Sabbath, but I chose to not use my phone anymore. And right now, we are living in Micah's grandparents' winter home, and where we are, there is absolutely no reception, which is amazing. I didn't know how much I craved this connection, and just to be able to focus more on nature and focus more on a family. We've been here for a week or so, and it's awesome. All of that to say is, I no longer use my phone as much as I used to, but I still feel the need to keep Sabbath and keep my phone away from Sabbath. The other thing that I think it's important is that I used to think that a rest day, it was, I'm not doing work. Like, I'm not doing YouTube, I'm not brainstorming, I'm not working on any other entrepreneurial projects that we have, like, I'm not taking care of our customers, like, none of that. I'm just not doing work. But I would still do, like, cleaning or grocery shopping and things like that. And how Pete, I don't remember the author, talks about it, it's very important that we actually are resting. Everything we do on that time on Sabbath has to be joyful and something that we're excited about, and that it's resting and recharging ourselves. I no longer do any irregular household tasks. I still change diapers, I still wipe the counters, I still do dishes and do laundry, one load of laundry every day. Like, that's part of our everyday household tasks. But I don't do laundries for all the towels or all of the beddings, or do the baseboards, or all of these extra things that does not need to be done. Same thing for grocery shopping. I love grocery shopping. Micah and I, in our dates, when we started dating, we would go grocery shopping, and we would walk every single aisle just to talk. And it was awesome. And so I love grocery shopping. I no longer do that on our Sabbath, because when we have everybody together, like all the 4 girls with Micah and I, it's not very restful to be doing all the aisles. And I'm like speeding through my grocery shopping just to make sure that nobody fusses, and that I'm done on time, everything I need to do. No grocery shopping. We also have learned that no crowds. I don't do well around crowds. I feel like I'm crowd controlling our children, and I become like this crazy parent. and I feel like I need to be on, and crowds do not bring the best out of me. And for Micah and I, we also don't do any social events with people or things that we need to be on. And what I mean by that is that if I feel the need to be on, like somebody that I'm not fully comfortable with being myself, or not being myself, but really just like our close friends and families, that I'm okay with saying whatever comes to mind, and not like overthinking things, because in case I offend somebody or something like that. If I have to be on like that with those people, then we won't do that. If I have to be on with their children and like make sure that they're not hurting themselves, or like touching anything or whatever, then we're not doing that event, because that is not restful for any of us. And there is absolutely no extracurricular activity. There's only one per child. but we don't do anything over the weekend. Saturday and Sunday is sacred for us. We want to spend time as a family. And so everything we do will be over the weekday. So then the weekends, there's none of that. And we do not want to run around. We want to be resting and just recharging our time. And so Sabbath for us, it's full rest. And I used to think that I constantly needed to do something, or to be always productive, or I was being lazy, or just that I failed myself. And I think that there's some lies that we've been told in our culture, that things like, well, we can sleep when we're dead, or we need to keep the grind going. And there is some truth to that. But if we don't take care of our health, then how can we pour into other people? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so those are the lies that I've believed for so long, and I needed to reshape my mind around that. And to this day still, sometimes I would just sit by the window and then read a book and look outside, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I should be, like, there's stuff to do in the house. Like, there's stuff, I could be making more food, or I can be baking for the girls, or I can be doing all these things. And no, those are lies that we've been told. And I realized how arrogant those thoughts were, that thinking that God couldn't figure it out and function without me hustling for one day. So instead of following the world's idea of self-care, let's build a life that actually fills us by slowing down, by setting boundaries, by finding joy in the things that God has called us for. And true rest comes from Christ. And we get to live a life with purpose and being present every single day.